Right, welcome back. This is page 2 of lesson 1.2 on signed numbers. And we're going to go ahead and continue working some problems. If you want to start working some problems on your own, just to see if you have the order of operations down, you can. Or you can follow along with the lesson, your choice. You'll have plenty of opportunities to do these type of problems because this order of operations is a foundational concept. We use it in math in a bunch of different places. We'll talk about some specific equations at the end. But let's go ahead and continue on. I'm going to go ahead and write down my letters here. So P for parentheses, E for exponent. MD goes next to each other because multiplication and division have the same importance. You do it left to right. And then the AS for addition, subtraction, left to right as well. So as I look at this problem, first thing that draws my eyes, I see parentheses. And there are things in parentheses that can be simplified. So we'll do the 3 plus 3. This is an alliance of positives. So I'm going to make that a 6. I'm going to keep the parentheses. Though in this case, you don't really need to. If I wrote this down as a 9 times 6 divided by 6, that would still be fine. You could write it that way. But I usually like to leave it there just kind of as a habit. Then what do we do next? There are no exponents. Now it's multiplication and division. Well, we have both. Which one do we do first? Well, we go left to right. Which one occurs first? The multiplication occurs first. So we're going to do 9 times 6, which is 54. And so notice, I write this down, and the 54 goes right below it, and then bring down the divided by 6. I strongly recommend not putting equal signs and putting stuff over here. It becomes very hard to track as problems get more complex. If you don't have a nice simplified way of tracking it, I've seen stuff get very, very busy. So just as a math teacher and somebody who's taught math for a long time, I find that this is the best method, the best habit to have when doing these problems. Because if you just do a bunch of equal sign and you do all sorts of stuff over here, it's going to get very messy and it's going to get very hard to follow. So with your steps, you replace one thing at a time. Everything else gets copied down. All right, now we're on our last step. 54 divided by 6 is 9. And that winds up being our answer. Are we correct? Let's find out. So I'm going to turn this light back on so we can see that. And then we're going to have 9 times parenthesis, 3 plus 3, parenthesis, divided, nope, that's a minus, divided by 6. Boom, 9. And that was the answer we got. I do want to point out we didn't do the 7 squared, that was plus, from the previous problem, so I'm going to do that now. 1 plus 7 squared, and that is our 50. I want to point out this key right here by the 7, that is your x squared. So if you hit this key, it will put the exponent on a number. Right, let's go to the next one. So here we once again have parentheses, so we'll do what's in here, but you got multiple stuff. You have addition and subtraction. Well, that's the same step, right? So how do we do this? Once again, for both of these, you're going to go left to right. So we're going to, so if it's multiplication division, we go left to right. If it's addition subtraction, we go left to right. So we're going to do the 9 plus 18, which is 27. Right, so this became 27, and then I'm going to copy everything down. There's a parenthesis in front of it. After these two numbers, there's a minus 3 and a parenthesis and a divided by 8. So I very carefully copy down the rest. Now we go to this one. This is subtraction. So 27 minus 3 is 24. You can keep that in parentheses. And then 24 divided by 8 is 3. So for this problem here, I'm going to go ahead and work this on the calculator. So we'll type that in. Parenthesis 9 plus 18 minus 3 divided by 8. And the answer is 3, and that's what we got. So your calculator, these calculators know how to do order of operations, so they're great. Now I do want to point out, we've been using this subtraction key right here. There is another key that has a negative in it. We're going to talk when to use this one, but if you know it's subtraction between two numbers, you will use this key. So we'll talk about this key when that comes up. All right. The next problem, we're going to start inside the parentheses. 8 minus 2 is 6, so I'm going to bring that down, keep in its parenthesis. That's the only thing I did. Everything else gets copied down. So we'll bring the 9, the 1, the 9, the plus, the 6, and the division. So you notice where I'm writing this below, I leave room so I can copy the stuff directly under so you can see these are unchanged. Now what? I have addition and division. Well, according to order of operations, we should be doing the division before the addition, so we will continue with that. We'll do 6 divided by 6, which is 1. So that's going to be a 1, and I'm going to bring down the 9 and the plus. And then 9 plus 1 is 10. Now, I'm not going to continue to put these in the calculator. This is something I would encourage that you do as you work through them. Every problem I would do that, especially on the quizzes and tests. But in the interest of time, I'm going to work through these, and if you want to check them with the calculator on your own, that's fine. Parentheses, so we're in here, we have division and we have addition. Well, here, division comes before addition, so we have to do this first. So I'm going to copy down the 4 and the parenthesis. 4 divided by 2 is 2, so I changed that, and then I copy down the plus 4 in the parentheses. The only thing that changed was this became 2. Now we continue inside, 2 times 2 plus 4, that's going to give us 6, keeping the parenthesis around that. And this, the nice thing about keeping the parenthesis is now we know that this is multiplication. It always has been 4 multiplied by whatever this winds up being. But order of operation has us get this to a single value before we try to multiply the 4. 4 times 6 is 24. Right. Let's jump up to 7. We'll start in our parentheses here. 5 plus 8, that is going to be 13. I'm going to keep the parentheses, bring down the times 4, and bring down the 6 plus. Now what happens next? Well, we have addition and multiplication. Multiplication comes before, so 13 times 4 is 52. And then we'll do 6 plus 52 is 58. Now going on to number 8, we have a parenthesis here, so we're going to do 7 plus 5, which is going to give us a 12. Keep that parenthesis there, and I'm going to copy down the rest. 6 times 6 minus 12. All right, so what happens next? The multiplication or the subtraction? Well, multiplication comes before that, so we're going to do 6 times 6, which is 36. And we still have the minus 12. I'm going to drop the parentheses. They really aren't doing anything for me right now. And so we're going to leave that as is, and then we'll do the 36 minus the 12, which will give us 24. All right, that concludes page 2. Please continue on to page 3.